Notion just released a game-changing new feature called buttons. And for the first time, we can now create honest-to-goodness multi-step automations directly inside of Notion. So you can do things like clicking a button to track your habits, which will automatically change properties inside of a habits database. Or you can create a brand new project and click a button to create default tasks for that project, which have their statuses and their assignees already set. Or you can create a centralized place for spawning new tasks or notes or even projects inside of your second brain. This feature just started rolling out today. I am super excited about it, and in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to master it. Timestamps, as always, are right there, so you can skip around the video to your heart's content, but we're going to start things out by going a little bit more in depth on the examples I just showed you here in the intro, and then I'm going to jump in and teach you how to actually start creating your own buttons. Let's get started. So here I am in a very basic habit tracker that I've built, which I showed off in the intro here, and I just want to use this to show you just how much buttons can do inside of your Notion workspace. So if I click this new day button right here, and I will position the screen so you can see this records database down here, I'm going to get a brand new record in this database with its date set and with a title referencing the day as well. But even cooler, when I click these buttons, you're going to see that the checkbox properties down here actually get checked off, and then this day score formula property starts to fill up with the score for the day. So what exactly is going on here? Well, if we click the little gear icon next to this button, we can see that we've actually got a lot of configuration options for what we can do when the button is clicked. In this case, we are adding a brand new page to a specific database called habits. We're giving it a name, and we are referencing today with the @today command here. And then we're also setting its date to today, which is a dynamic value. So when I click this button, I get a brand new row in this database with those properties set. Likewise, with these buttons here, opening this one up here, I am editing a page in habits, and I can actually set filters just like I would when I'm creating a database view to choose which page I'm going to edit. And then I'm simply changing the value of this drink water checkbox property. So when I click it, any row that matches the filters inside of the button is going to have its property updated. Pretty cool. But even cooler is that buttons now will allow us to actually create default tasks inside of new projects that we create inside of Notion. And this is something that people have been requesting for a very long time, myself included. I even made a video about it in the past, but at this point, that video is now obsolete because buttons give us a much better way to do it. So to show you that, I've created this demo content planning hub that is modeled sort of after my creator's companion template. It's a bit simpler for video purposes here. And I'm going to go into a YouTube video, and I've actually set up a brand new YouTube video template that has one of these buttons inside of it. So by default, we don't have any tasks that are associated with this project. And in the past, we've had to do some really hacky things to get default tasks into a project, like dragging checkbox items up into the database here. But we don't have to do that anymore because I now have this Add Default Video Tasks button. And when I click it, I'm going to get a confirmation window right here. I will hit confirm, and boom. I have all of these default tasks. If I click into any of them, we're going to see that they are actually brand new rows in the tasks database, and they're related to this exact YouTube video. They also have an assignee automatically set, and they have their status automatically set. To get a little bit fancier, and I might show this to you at the end of the video, I also have a suggested due date, which is actually dynamically determined from the published date of the video itself, which is really, really cool. So I'll show you that near the end of the video because that gets into some formula stuff and it's a bit more advanced. For now, I want to show you one other really cool trick. So here I have the dashboard page for my ultimate brain template, which you can find over at thomasjfrank.com/brain, link in the description down below. And this is sort of a hub for the entire template. We have all of our task manager views, we have all of our notes views, but still, if I want to create something, I have to go into a specific toggle or a specific page, like the task manager page or the notes page or the projects page. Except now I don't have to because I have buttons. So here I've created this little toggle called Create. And inside of it, I have all these different buttons that are going to create new things for me. These will create new tasks. These will create new notes, new projects, new areas of resources. And this gives me a centralized place that I could sync to any part of my workspace, so I could see it basically anywhere I want, where I can create something new. So if I'm on the go, I would want to have this in my quick capture page. I can pull it up on my phone, I can hit a button, and I can say create a brand new task. So let's create a task that is due today. I click that, it automatically opens the task. I have a title here. And I can already see that it's due today and the priority is set as well. If I want to create a brand new project, I can do that as well. I've got a brand new project, I've got its status set, and we can do that for basically any database that we're working with inside of Notion. And again, the configuration is really not that complicated. It looks pretty similar to what I showed you already. We have add a new page to a specific database, all notes bub in this case, and then I'm opening that newly created page, in this case in the side peek view. So even at launch here, buttons already have a ton of use cases, a ton of flexibility, and I want to now start teaching you how to actually create your own buttons. We're going to start very, very simple, and then we're going to go into some more advanced use cases. I'm actually going to show you how to build each of the examples I just showed you and demoed here. But first, we're going to start very, very simple. So I'm on a brand new page. I'm calling this daily tasks, and I want to create a button that just gives me a checklist of items that I want to do every single day. Maybe some habits or like my daily chores. So to do that, I'm going to hit the slash button here. I'm going to type button, and there it is. Run custom automations with a click. So once I click that, I'm going to get this new interface where first I can name the button and I can give it an emoji or an icon, and I can also choose one of 5 main actions. So I can insert blocks into the current page, which is very simple to the predecessor of this feature, the template button, if you've seen that before. But I can also add new pages to databases. I can edit existing pages in databases. I can show a confirmation, which will ensure that I actually want to click the button and do what it's going to do. And then I can actually open a new page, either the page I just created if I use this add page action here, or I can open any other page in my workspace. So there's a lot you can do with these. I'm going to choose insert blocks as my first action here, and I'm just going to call this daily chores. So within this area, it's just another Notion window. Remember, with Notion, it is literally blocks all the way down. That is what makes up the entire Notion universe. So in here, I can do anything up to and including adding additional buttons and getting really crazy. And we're not gonna do that. I just wanted to show you that you can actually do it. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that button if I can here. And instead, I'm going to just create a simple list of to-dos. So back bracket, forward bracket, space is gonna give me a to-do, and I'm gonna type out some chores here. Okay, so now I have 4 chores that I want to do every single day. I will go ahead and hit done here. And now when I click this daily chores button, boom. So now we have 4 brand new to-do blocks on our page. I could check these off as needed. I can delete them at the end of the day. I can create new ones tomorrow. But where buttons really get powerful is when we start messing with databases and also when we create multi-step automations. So to show you how to do that, I'm going to navigate over to my content planning hub little demo here, and we are going to build what I showed you here, this little default video tasks button, where when I create a new project, I can actually spawn a whole list of default tasks that are going to be associated with that project. And this is very useful because if you work in a company or if you go through lots of repeated processes, you'll have projects in your work that often have the same exact tasks every single time. Great example here is a YouTube video. Every single time we make a video, we need to research and write the video, we need to set a video title, we need to film it, edit it, all that good stuff. And we want to have those in our task database, and we want to have each of those tasks associated with the video that we are creating. So let's go ahead and actually build that. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to create a brand new YouTube video. So let me give that a title here. I'm going to spawn this from the YouTube video template that I've set up here. And I've got a whole database tutorial that teaches you how to make database templates. If you're curious about that, link is in the description below. But what I'm going to do here is actually get rid of this button, or at least move it to the bottom, because we're going to recreate it. So just as a brief overview of what we want to do, we want to, when we come into this project, hit a button, create brand new default tasks in this tasks window here, and have them be associated with the video that we've just created. Now, if we look at the filters on this tasks table here, we can see that we are only going to see tasks where the content relation contains this video. So we don't have to do anything with the filters or with this view in particular. We just need to create brand new tasks in our tasks database that are associated with this video. So here's how we can do that with a button. First, I will hit button one more time, create that button window here. Let's name it add or create. How about create default video tasks? I'm going to give it a nice little icon. I think there's a video one. Yeah, there we go. That seems YouTubey. And I can also, little bonus tip here, I can change the color of the icon. I think red is going to be more YouTubey, so I'll go with that. And now I can start adding steps. So let's think through exactly what we want to do here. We want to get a list of default tasks in this tasks table, which is itself just a linked database that is pulling from our master tasks database, which means every task we create is going to be an individual row in that database. So we're going to have a step for every single task we want to create. And to keep things short, I'm just going to do 3 tasks in this one, even though we had like 7 or 8 earlier. So first I will add a step here. And I think before we start adding new pages to our databases all willy-nilly, I do want to add a show confirmation step just to make sure that we actually want to do what we're trying to do here, because it's very easy to accidentally click one of these buttons if you're not paying attention. So I'll just leave this as default, and it's going to show that little modal, and I'm going to have to click continue before the rest of the automation is going to kick off. Second, let's choose add page to, and this is going to let us add a page to a specific database. So I'm going to select my database here. We are going to choose tasks 2, which is my database here. And then we can set all of our properties as if we were creating a brand new page in that database normally. So let's say film or script video will be the first one that we do. I'm going to add another property here. I'm going to choose the assignee, and I'm going to set that as how about person who clicked the button? This is an example of one of the dynamic variables that has come out with the buttons feature today. Whoever clicks this button, if we choose the from this automation person who clicked this button feature, they're going to be the assignee for that task on this row that gets created. So I'll go ahead and click that here. It's going to assign it to me because I'm going to be the person clicking the button here in the video. And I'm going to add another property here. Let's go with status. I want to make sure the status is not started. And that's going to be a default for the status property, but we're just going to add it here for demonstration purposes. And then the most important one, the content relation. So we're going to select this page. And this is an example of another dynamic variable and possibly one of the most useful ones that came out with this feature. I can choose this page. It's going to pull this context that we're on, the page that we're on, and use that as the actual relation value. So I will set that there. And we have other things here. I'll show you offset near the end of the video. That's actually going to help us create some dynamic dates that are pulled from the actual published date of the video, but that's a bit more advanced. So stick around to the end if you want to see that. I'm going to skip it for now. So we've created that there. And because we're creating default tasks and all these settings are going to be pretty similar to one another, I'm just going to go ahead and click this 3 dot here and duplicate below, and then just make this film video. Now for film video, I know that I am the person who has to film it. I am the guy on camera. So instead of person who clicked the button, I'm going to go ahead and change that to Thomas Frank. And the rest of these things can actually stay the same. We want the content to still pull from this page. Status will be not started. Good to go. One more duplication. We're going to say edit video. And that one I am going to assign to my editor, Tony. So instead of me being the assignee, let's go ahead and find Tony Santos. There we go. And we're all good there. So we could add additional steps here. We could say open the page or open a specific page, but we're kind of on the page we want to be on. So we're pretty much done creating this button. I'm going to hit done now. And then to demonstrate this once more, I will click create default video tasks. I will continue. And there we have our 3 default tasks: edit, film, and script, with their assignees, with their statuses. That takes a whole lot of work out of the process of creating default tasks inside of projects. Okay, let's go to our third example here. I'm going to go to my copy of Ultimate Brain, and we are going to recreate just a couple of the buttons from this little create area. And as a reminder, these are buttons that give us a single centralized place where we can create brand new tasks, new notes, new projects, and new areas or resources inside of the Second Brain. If you're not familiar with the areas and resources concept, I will link to my whole Second Brain tutorial and overview video in the description. Check that out if you're curious. But let's just go ahead and recreate a mini version of this. Again, keeping things short and sweet. I'm going to call this once again create. So let's open up my little emoji picker, and I'm going to find that brush emoji. Actually, it isn't on brush. Maybe it's under paint. It is indeed. So I will find my little paint emoji. I guess it's even different than that. Oh, there it is. And we will bold and hit create. And let's just say create 2, just so we can visually differentiate. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to make myself 2 columns. So /2c is going to give me 2 columns. I'm going to do /3 for heading 3. Call that one tasks. And then I'm going to call this one notes. So once again, /3 notes. And then I can use 3 dashes to get that nice little horizontal rule, which is just nice for aesthetics and visually dividing your workspace up. So let's go ahead and create another button, /button. And we're going to actually add a page too, once again. For this one, let's call it new task due today. So I'll show you how to actually set a dynamic due date. And let's go with a hammer. That seems tasky. So we're going to add a page to a selected database, and it's going to be a database called all tasks. And I know I gave this one the bub prefix or suffix in particular. There it is. So I'll select that. The task I'm going to leave untitled, and I will show you how to actually open this page automatically so you can then name it instead of giving it a name that's always going to be the same. So we'll leave it untitled here, but we are going to add some additional properties that we want to actually set default values for. So within Ultimate Brain, I know that priorities are always supposed to be medium by default. I'm going to set that. I know that Kanban status is always supposed to be to do by default, so I'll always set that. And because this task is supposed to be due today, we can actually use one of those dynamic values. So I'm going to choose my due property here. I will go to select, and you can see that from this automation inside this menu here, I have two dynamic values. I have now and I have today. So today is just going to be today's date. Now is going to be pretty much the same thing, but also with the exact time as well. And I'm hoping that in the future we get additional dynamic options like 1 week from now or X days from now or something like that. But at least for today here at launch, we have these two. So I'm going to pick today. And that's going to be pretty much good for this button. So I'll click done here, and actually, I want to open it back up, and I want to add one more step, which is going to be open page. So I've got two options here. I can select the page, and I can also select the style in which I'm going to open it. My favorite way to open pages is side peek, normally at least. So I'm going to choose that. And then for select page, note that we can choose any existing page inside of our workspace. We can search just like we would when we're linking to pages, but I'm going to choose new page added because I want to open up the brand new task I've created so I can give it a name. I'll hit done, and then if I create my brand new task, boom, there it is. We're walking the dog once again, and we can see that it is due today. So let's finish up this example by now creating a notes example, and we'll do /button one more time. I'm gonna find, maybe like a pencil icon. That seems very note-like. And I'm gonna say new inbox note. And actually, instead of inbox note, I'm gonna choose new fleeting note. I'll show you a cool little feature from Ultimate Brain. So I'm going to go add step. Just like before, we're going to add page 2. We are going to select the database, and that is going to be all notes bub. Hopefully we actually find it at the top. My screen is not playing nice with me. There it is. Cool. Once again, we are going to leave the title blank so we can set it when the new page is created, but we do want to add one additional property, and that is actually going to be the type property, which we will set to this little fleeting tag here. And this is going to ensure that when we create this brand new page, it becomes a fleeting note, which will make sure that it's archived later on when we don't need it anymore. Finally, we'll add one more step. We are going to open the page that we just created. So again, we'll do new page added from this automation. I'm going to set this to side peek because again, that is my favorite, and I will hit done and create myself a brand new fleeting note. And let's just call this, how about Christmas gifts? This is a type of note that is only going to be relevant for a temporary period of time. It's not going to be always nice to have in your inbox or in your areas, things like that. So I want it to be fleeting. And because we set the type as fleeting in our button, there it is fleeting. And just to show you kind of how Ultimate Brain works, I can come down to this fleeting notes toggle here. And now I see Christmas gifts here, but after 30 days, it's going to automatically archive itself. That's kind of the point of a fleeting note, as opposed to what I'd call a permanent note that you want to actually put into a resource or an area, or maybe in your favorites list like that. Okay, so far we have added new pages to a database. We have shown confirmations. We have gone to new pages. The one thing I haven't showed you yet is how to edit existing pages that are already in a database, and that is exactly what we are doing with these buttons here in the habit tracker. So I'm going to recreate one of these for you, and I'll show you how it actually affects a new page inside of a database. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and delete this record because we already have all these values checked. So I'm going to delete that, and then we're going to walk through one more time all the configurations in this new day button, which is actually just one step. We have add page to our habits database. We're calling it at today. We are setting its date at today. That's one of those two dynamic date values we have available to us right now. So when I click this, I'm going to get a brand new record inside of my database, which I will use these buttons to actually edit later on. So let's go ahead and delete this embed by 10 button right here, and we are going to recreate it. But before we do that, let's open up another one, walk 30 minutes, and let's see exactly what's in here. Again, it's just one step. We are editing a page in the habits database, and we can choose any database we want. And how we're editing the pages is we're not selecting a page in the database specifically. Instead, we're setting up filter criteria just like we would when creating a new database view. And then we are going to make changes to properties in any page within this database that fits our filter criteria. So the goal here would be to set up our filters in such a way that they only target one page, namely today's page. And we can easily do that with a date property. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll start once again by typing but with an ON on the end. And we'll get our little button block here. I'm gonna call this embed by 10. That's the habit I'm tracking. I'm gonna give it a nice little blue bedtime emoji. So let's get a bed there. Good, good. And then when the button is clicked, we are going to choose the final thing we have not chosen yet, edit pages in. So we will select our database and we're going to choose the habits database right here. And here is where we would actually set up our filter rules. But before we do that, let's go ahead and actually choose the property that we're going to edit. So here I have embed by 10, which is a checkbox property. And we can see when I select it, I can choose how I want to modify this checkbox. So when I click it, I want that checkbox to be checked, and checkboxes in Notion are by default unchecked. So we are going to be changing its state. And then the last thing we have to do here is just edit the filters so that we only target the page for today, which we are tracking. So how would we do that? Well, we can see here that our date property has a specific date in it, which is March 22, 2023. That is today. So what we can do in our filters is actually choose that date property. And instead of is relative to today or a specific hard-coded date, we can do is and then today. So ideally, if you're only making one record in the habits database per day, and I don't know why you would do anything different, it's only going to hit one of those pages because the filter we just set up. So I'll hit done right there. I'll come up and hit embed by 10. And now we can see our little checkbox property for that habit has been checked. And for a little bit of extra flair, I've also added a day score formula, and this is using those new progress bars. If I go to edit property, because this formula is outputting a numeric value, I can actually choose to represent it as a bar. And if I go into the formula, this is a little bit more advanced, but if you're curious, I'm basically just turning each of these checkboxes into a 1 or a 0 using this little plus prefix right here. It's called unary plus, and then I'm dividing by 4, so I'm getting the percentage of completion, and we're all good there. So to wrap this video up, I did promise that I would show you how to do that relative dates trick. So this is gonna be a bit more of an advanced use case, but if you are curious about how to get some relative dates based on a project's published date on your tasks, we are going to do that now. So I'm gonna go over to this 7 ways to be more organized project here. And because we set this up before, we already have our default tasks here. Our due dates are empty, and they're gonna stay that way. That's a Notion limitation. But we also have this little due suggested formula property here. And if I drag this over, what we can actually do, and this is kind of a stopgap until we get better automation tools for this particular workflow from Notion, is we can suggest a date for each of these tasks based on the published date of the video. So for example, if this video is gonna go live a week from now, I might wanna have the script locked 2 days from now, or maybe 5 days from the published date. I might wanna make sure that we have the video filmed 4 days from the published date and edited fully 2 days from the published date so we have time for review. And all kinds of other projects could have this type of schema where you have a overall done date for the project, and then you dynamically set the dates of all the tasks within it so that you have a nice little cascade of due dates. Well, how could we do that? Well, if we look at our tasks here, I have added a little numeric property called offset, and this is just gonna be a number. I've also added this formula property called due suggested, and I'll show you the formula real quick. It's actually pretty simple. It's just the date subtract function, and we are taking the published date of the project at large, which we're pulling in from a rollup, and then we are also taking the offset, that numeric value, and we're subtracting that many days from the overall published date. So for example, if I set the offset here as 5, and I went back and actually set a published date for this video, let's just say a week from now, March 29th, 2023, now we have a due date that is suggested for us, March 24th, 2023. If we open this back up, we can see that our offset is now modifying the content published date and giving us a new date as a suggestion. So what we could do is add offsets automatically for each one of our tasks here. And then the project manager in a company could go through and be like, yep, I think March 24th is perfect for that. Let's go ahead and set it. So it at least gives you guidance and a suggestion for your due dates, even though it can't actually set these date properties here. And hey, if you're cool with a formula being your date property, then you could just use that. So let me show you how to actually do that. It's one simple configuration change to this create default video tasks button here. For each of these tasks, all we need to do is set an offset property. So the first task is script video. I'm gonna change the offset property and I'm gonna set that to, let's say 5, because I wanna have it done 5 days before the video's publish date. For film video, let's set offset to say 3. I wanna have filmed 3 days before publish date. And then for edit video, let's go ahead and set that to 2. So that way my video editor only has 1 day after I film, because I'm a mean boss, and we'll go ahead and hit done there. So I'll delete these. So we have a brand new empty tasks database here, and I'll hit this one more time. I'll hit continue. And now you can see we have our suggested due dates, and they are factored based off of our offset value and our content publish date, which is pretty cool. By the way, if you want to learn about Notion formulas, we just released a brand new section on my main website, thomasjfrank.com, which is a full and complete formula reference for Notion. So you can check that out if you have any questions or you need to look at how to write any function or operator or constant within Notion's formula feature. Literally the entire thing is documented. I spent 4 months writing it. My team spent a ton of time transferring it over to our main website and building this great new section where it's easy to navigate through the pages. So check that out if you're curious. And that's about going to do it for this video. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you found something useful that you can take away and apply to your own Notion workspace. If you want to get new Notion tips every single week when I publish them, join my Notion tips newsletter. You can find that over at thomasjfrank.com/fundamentals. That is the whole hub page for all my Notion basics content, but there is a very prevalent newsletter box on there where you can sign up. And when you sign up, you can also get all my free templates and all my resources, reference guides. There is a ton of stuff. So if you want to master Notion, that is the way to do it. And I did show my Ultimate Brain template in this video. If you want to check out Ultimate Brain, and if you want a complete and done for you second brain, like a complete productivity system inside of Notion, thomasjfrank.com/brain is the place to go. And you can even use Let's Go 2023 at checkout to get $50 off of that template. Thanks as always for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at TomFrankly. I'm pretty darn responsive over there, so follow me for also like all kinds of Threadboy stuff. I like to tweet about business and Notion. So if you want more tips, follow me there. There's a couple more videos on screen. Check those out. If you want something else to watch, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Do a bunch of other action items that you can just make up at this point, and I'll see you in the next one.